You're listening to the Hello Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Hello Well with Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle Washington, and I just want to thank everyone who listens to this podcast, who comments on this podcast, and just for rocking with me, because I'm going to tell you right now, life has been lifing, and the struggle is beyond real. I don't know if you've ever had a week when you're like, I don't think I signed up for all these life lessons on earth, and when life just feels like it's just too freaking much. I just been having that week. I've been having a week where everything feels like it's falling apart. Everything's been out of control. I don't feel like I'm getting the things I want to get done. And it's not like I'm trying. It's not like I'm like, ooh, there's new episodes of Bridgerton. And so I'm watching these new episodes. I'm like, I don't even have time for Bridgerton. I want to cry. I want to literally ball up in a corner and just cry and say, I'm done, I quit, I give up. But I don't even have time. If this resonates with any of you, this podcast episode is for you. It's all about literally finding balance in the midst of chaos. And chaos is mad crazy. If the way I like to think about chaos when it hits you, because it's it doesn't just come on gradually. It can come on gradually, but oftentimes it just hits you like a tornado, and it slams your peace of mind and destroying absolutely all aspects of your life. So you can have chaos on one part of your life, but it spills over into all the other parts. And that's what this week has been feeling like. And, as I sit here and say this week, no, it's been more than a week. It's been a couple of weeks where I feel like life is spinning out of control. I'm trying, but it feels like I can't get a grasp and ground myself. And I had to sit there and come up with some solutions because I can't live like this. I literally have been feeling like someone had said boo. And I've had this startled feeling in my body and realizing that this doesn't feel good and I can't consistently go like this. And I don't want to go to the emergency room over this because A, I'm like, is there something really wrong with me? And B, if there isn't technically that they can find medically, what are they going to do? So I decided to look internally and figure out what's going on in my life. And also throw out there that, it's Aries season. If you follow, and this is me getting a little bit on the woo-woo side, but it's Aries season, and Aries is a little bit of fiery season. And it's all about trying to cultivate the relationship with you, but also looking at this weekend, Saturday, the 16th is a full moon in Libra. And Libra is all about balance and relationships. And the theme behind this one is really find the balance within our power, within our relationships. And that's a huge theme that's going on. And we're being asked to be honest about our relationships, not just with other people, but with ourselves. And so I go back into the situation. I'm like, okay, D, how are you being honest with your issues with having a chaotic life? And how did you get into this? What did you do? Because the reality of it all, I can't sit here oh my God, this happened to me. Life is horrible. It just all happened to me. No, I played a role in this. I played a significant role in my life feeling like it's out of balance and I'm in this crazy tornado of chaos. So first was, okay, I'm going to own my role in this situation. Now that I've owned it, it's time to figure out how to go about dealing with it and fixing it. And so I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not saying I have it all figured out. But I am saying through the trials and errors of the last couple of weeks and life in general, and me remembering that this ain't my first rodeo. And I had to remember that's I feel like sometimes we get into these moments of, feeling like life's spinning out of control or, guilty because we can't get everything we want done, or guilty that we're neglecting our self-care, which I've been feeling a lot lately, or also just feeling constantly exhausted with no end in sight. Like, my perfect sign for me to realize that this is happening is like when my house looks like a hot mess, which you cannot see right now, thank goodness. That's a sign that something is out of balance for me. That's a telltale sign of when the house is a hot mess, honey, you're a hot mess. And I know this, but like I'll see the house a mess and like, oh my, and I feel like life is getting crazy. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Did something happen in the world and it's happening to me? And I'm like, I forget that. No, it's not happening to me. It's happening for me. And it's a sign that I need to do something. And I need to remember that I have the power to do something. And it's not just that life is too much and I can't control it. I just need to recognize what's going on and stop. It's like that kind of that, I don't know if I always feel like I'm dating myself sometimes. It's like that commercial back in the day. It was like, stop, drop, and roll. I don't know if it's a California thing, but it's a fire thing. So it's not an earthquake thing. But it was like, stop what you're doing, drop into yourself, and find ways to roll. And so I have to remember in these moments of these chaotic tornadoes that I need to stop, drop, and roll. And then sometimes it's like, I get that, like, I feel like I want to stop and I want to do things. But the problem in these moments of chaos is that I feel like I don't have time to stop. I'm so back on the things I needed to be doing and neglecting my own self-care because I don't feel like I quote unquote have the time. It's you get stuck. It's a cycle of, oh, I don't have time to take care of me. I don't have time to figure out why I'm in this chaotic moment. But that's the time when you need to. Like, I'm wearing my shirt that says, I'm selfish with my time and energy. These are the times I need to learn to be selfish with my time and energy. And I actually had to buy a shirt to remind myself to be selfish with my time and energy. But also realize that there's some things that I could change. And so going back to what were the aha moments for me in trying to find this balance in the midst of chaos was learning that, okay, sis, you have this laundry list of things you need to do because you took on 2 new clients. You have still a bunch of other work to go on. You still have your parents who you need to take care of who will have the most random, like, oh my God, you're going to take me to the doctor today, right? And I'm like, girl, you never said anything. But those moments come up and trying to do all these different things. I need to recognize, what is my capacity? And that was if I had to say, the biggest thing that has put me in the situation was not honoring my capacity. I had Nicole Roan, who is the capacity coach, and she is fire, on this podcast several episodes ago. And she talked about knowing your capacity. So if you didn't listen to that podcast episode, I highly recommend listening to that one. But understanding when you're at capacity, and more importantly, when you're past capacity, your capacity is huge. And if I really sat there and thought about it when adding all these different things, I could have told myself, no, you can't handle all these different things because you're past your capacity, or you're at your capacity and you can't add any more. But, Virgo me was like, I can do it all. Give me more. I'm just, I'm every woman. And no, I may be every woman, but I feel like every woman, not every woman, but I feel a lot of women try to do way more than they have the capacity to do. And that's where I found myself. And that's where I find myself in a situation where I'm beyond my capacity. And so what do you do when you're beyond your capacity? Okay, you can drop some things and figure out what needs to go. But more importantly, you prioritize. You prioritize what's the most important things. What is life or death? What needs to happen today? What needs to happen this hour? What needs to happen this minute? Like, figuring out what is that priority. And it can change from day to day. And so really creating a prioritization in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get these things done. Not, I'm going to get A, B, C, D, E, F, G done. I'm going to try to get A, B, and C. Keep it simple. Because when you try to do all the different things, yeah, again, that's going against most likely your capacity because there's only 24 hours in a day. need some time to sleep, need some time to, like, I don't know, eat, maybe socialize, taking breaks, which I'm a strong believer in, and knowing that there's going to be things that come up that, whoops, didn't account for that. So if you kind of break that down, you don't have time to do 12 things. And that's why making a prioritization list and saying, I'm going to get A, B, and C done. Now, if I get to D, on point, wonderful. I'm happy I got to D. But don't try to do so much because, again, you're living past your capacity, which I don't know about you. When I live past my capacity and the day ends and I'm like, dang, I didn't get that done. I didn't get this done. And I made a promise to myself I was going to do these things. And now I'm mad at me because I didn't follow through on the things that I wanted to do. B, probably someone else is mad at me because I didn't follow through on things that they needed me to do. And I feel guilty and I'm angry and the negative self-talk. And it goes back into this moment of chaos that I, quote unquote, feel I can't get out of because I put myself in it, and I'm throwing myself further into it by the negative self-talk because I try to do way more than I had capacity to do. And that goes into my other point that I've learned is, adding buffers. Like today was a perfect example of not adding a buffer. I was like, I can get these different things done. I can get my yoga practice in. I can talk to my niece and help her out with some other things. I can, work on some other things. I can work on this consulting job. I have a couple things I need to do. And I could get to my parents' house in time to take my mom an hour away to her doctor's appointment. I was late. I was late because I was trying to do too much. I was late because I didn't remember my capacity. And being late and rushing and trying to do too much threw me in a tizzy of, oh my God, now I'm on the freeway speeding, hoping a cop doesn't see me. And I'm freaking out and I'm projecting on every driver who is driving under the speed limit in California, which I honestly think is insane. Yo, the speed limit is there for a reason. Either you go it or you go higher. There's no rationale. There's no traffic to be going under it. That's my sidebar about people in California. I think California drivers are not always the best drivers. Or I think there's other people who come to California are not the best drivers. I don't know. Long story short, when you're rushing and feeling like all spastic, that just adds you further into the tornado and it feels chaotic. And it throws that balance off. It's like when I feel like I'm not balanced, I literally feel like a top where I can't stay stable. Like the wind is blowing me over. I'm knocking my head on the ground. I'm getting back up, knocking my head on the ground, getting back up. And I'm not figuring out a way to be that stable redwood tree that through all the winds is still standing millions of years later. And so finding ways to add buffer times to whatever you're doing. So if you think something's going to take an hour, give yourself an hour and a half. If you think something's going to take a day or two, give yourself a week. Maybe give yourself just 5 days, but finding those buffer times when you're not stressing about getting something done, you're not stressing about it being late, which adds to that feeling unbalanced, which adds to that being in the chaotic lifestyle and the feeling that chaotic tornado. It just helps. It helps. And it helps you not to project because when you're, I don't know about you, but I don't know, when I am feeling chaotic, I project on a lot of people, and it goes back to that relationship. It doesn't help with my relationships because I'm projecting my anger that's for me, that's to me, onto other people because I'm too busy. And so I'm like, oh, first person I could throw anger towards, great. You're going to get that, you crazy driver who's going too slow. But that's not a good idea. It's not. The other thing I've learned is just getting it out. Whether it's ranting to a good friend who is willing to just listen and not give any advice. Again, a good friend who is willing to listen without giving advice. Sometimes you don't want advice. Sometimes you just want to be able to say, life sucks. And it sucks because of all these different things. And I'm angry. I'm angry at myself. And to be able just to literally like verbally throw up what you're feeling. I feel like so often we feel like we have to be strong. We have to show that, oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I can handle all of these things. And we don't give ourselves permission just to be like, nah, it's not okay. And I'm not happy. And I'm struggling. And I'm frustrated. And I'm tired. And it's okay to rant. I mean, there's times probably when it gets to the point where maybe you should be looking to see a therapist or finding some other things. Because I feel like when we don't allow ourselves these moments to rant, if we don't allow ourselves to be aware of our capacity or prioritizing things, we tend to hit the bottle. We go for the bottle, like, oh, we're gonna find, balance in the at the end of this bottle of, I don't know, whatever you drink. It could be tequila, it could be wine, it could be bourbon, whatever your choice is. I tried that this week. I didn't try a bottle, but I went for a drink. And I was like, and the bartender gave me 2 drinks because he figured out how to make my favorite drink and gave me that as a gift. And I was like, now I have 2 drinks. That didn't help. Getting buzzed, getting alcohol didn't help. For those who like to smoke, 9 out of 10, it may feel good for the moment, but it may not be. It's a masking of the situation. It's not a solution. It's a masking of a situation. So I find that, finding those buffer times, getting it out and being able to rant to a friend, whether it's not, even if it's not ranting, it's whether you might need to just scream. Sometimes we just need to just emotionally scream and feel it, get it out of our body, because our bodies hold all these emotions in it. And that's why I love Reiki, because it helps clear out the emotions and clear out, what we call the negative chi in your body that's just stuck. Because when it gets really stuck, then it manifests into these medical issues that I don't think you want. High blood pressure, obesity, and all these different other things. So we need to get it out of our body. So if it's screaming, it's ranting, it's booking a Reiki session. And if you're looking to book a Reiki session, I know a girl, make sure you go to hellwellwithdanielle.com. Random plug, but we're just going to throw it in there. But I also like journaling. I don't always journal as much as I'd like to. And then I get on my case about not journaling because I'm like, I don't have time. My life is too chaotic. When I don't have time to journal, like write things down, I will do a video journal and I will get it out that way. I will do just an audio journal, getting it out. Again, there's something magical about literally using your voice, using the vibration in your body to energetically remove, which is really feeling like this stucky swamp that you don't want to be in. And so I love being able just to get it out in any way possible. Another way I like to get things out and get those stuck emotions out and that feeling of being in this chaotic tornadoes is by moving. And there's all different ways. Like I'll take a walk. I'll do yoga. Yoga for me, Kundalini yoga, because it is this ancient healing practice that mixes sound, breath work, and movement. And it feels very spiritual to me because it is spiritual. It's not where, okay, am I getting into these moves and it's all about, holding the pose and your strength. Kundalini yoga to me is more of an energetic release, and it helps me with me being a better person. And so when I do Kundalini yoga or do meditation or chanting, I can find ways to feel like, okay, I can stop and I'm dropping into me. So I can now roll into realizing that this is happening for me and not to me. And I have ways like prioritizing, like recognizing my capacity. I'm able to be clearer in my mind to realize, oh, sis, you're at your capacity. It's time to change something before something else happens to you. And so I love exercising. I like dancing. I am notorious for dance breaks just to help me get my mind right. I love taking when things feel freaking out of whack and I'm just life is too much. I dance. I feel like it's like with the Ally McBeal show, or was it Ally McBeal or Grey's Anatomy? One of them was like, we're just going to dance it out. Dancing it out is everything for me. I love to dance it out. So whatever helps you move your body, makes you feel good, do that. Take the time. And that's a perfect thing to say. Take the time, take a break. I sit here and I was constantly saying that, oh my God, I'm on this hamster wheel and I can't get off. I'm exhausted. I don't see an end in sight. My body is freaking out. My mind is freaking out. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having like mad crazy dreams. And I'm like, I can't take time. I don't have the time. No, that is when you need to take the time. That is when you need to stop and pause and take a break. There is something so beautiful about pausing and breaking. It gives our minds, our bodies, our spirits, our energy a time to be like, okay, reset. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, when we were in like elementary school, there's a reason why there was a recess. The recess was for us to take a mental break, move our bodies, get away from, well, I didn't have a computer screen growing up, but get away from the chalkboard, get away from learning so you can give your mind and your body a mental break, and then you can go back. I know that there are studies that show taking a break is scientifically good in helping you with the clarity, finding that balance. And so taking a break may not always feel logical, or it may feel counterintuitive, but it actually is one of the best things you can do. And also getting quiet. For me, I use meditation. And my meditation looks different all the time. Like sometimes, like right now I'm doing this meditation. It is the arc line meditation, a Kundalini yoga meditation, where I'm chanting for 22 minutes. I'm chanting Wahe Guru, Wahe Guru, Wahe Gyo, which is like the ecstasy of the consciousness. And it's interesting because for 22 minutes, I'm moving my hands above my head over and over. I'm chanting. And yeah, sometimes I get lost in meditation. I'm not going to lie. I don't meditate always in like, I'm Zen and my mind's not wandering. Yeah, my mind sometimes wanders. But within that, I'm still chanting to where I have at least removed myself from probably what is going on and that's making me feel chaotic, to where I can breathe. I like doing some pranayama where I'm doing like alternate nostril breathing. I like doing deep breathing. I'll do breath of fire. I will just sit there. I will sit there, no TV, no music, no nothing, and just be still. And there are times where I'm like, I feel uncomfortable. It feels like, oh, I need to be doing something. But I know if I allow myself to just stop, just for a little bit, there's that peace that I can find. I can see, oh wait, there's my peace of mind that I've been missing. And I don't feel so lost. I don't feel so overwhelmed. I don't feel like things are spinning out of control when I can allow myself that moment to get still and be quiet. And for me, that works. But at the same time, maybe none of these things will work for you. Maybe one or two of these things will work for you. What is important is for you to figure out what grounds you. Is it music? Is it listening to music? Because sometimes listening to music does ground me. I don't have to always dance, but sometimes listening to certain music can put me in the right mindset and can get me out of this feeling like life is spinning out of control. Meditation may be good for you. Moving may be good for you. I mean, masturbation may be good for you. Like, there are so many different things that could work for you. You just got to figure out what works for you. And like, ask yourself, because this season, this full moon is asking us to look at our relationships and to be honest about how we interact, not just with others, but how do we interact with ourselves? Like, ask yourself, am I giving my power away through my thoughts and my behaviors that are leaving me feeling unbalanced? Because a lot of times it's not the external things that are causing you to feel unbalanced, but it's internally of what you're doing. Ask yourself, what does balance feel like for me right now? Because what balance feels like and what you may need for balance right now may be different than when you needed it last week or last year. It may be different what you need in the future. And so asking yourself, what does balance look like for me right at this point? Like what does that feel like? What does that look like? And sometimes writing that out, like writing out balance feels like I not that I control, but like for me, balance right now would look like my body doesn't feel like it's going through some like having seizures. Balance to me looks like making time every day, whether it's morning or evening, because I find when I put strict limitations, like my yoga practice and my meditation practice has to happen only in the morning, then I'm spazzing out because, oh my God, I didn't have enough time because I chose to sleep in a little bit longer because I realized my body needed more rest. So for me, balance feels like not being so hard about what my morning looks like. Balance looks like to me adding yoga and meditation every single day, whether it's short meditation or a long meditation or a short yoga practice or not. It's adding those moments of kind of quieting my mind, grounding my body. Balance to me is talking to my ancestors, being aware of what's on my plate. Balance to me is not creating this laundry list of to-dos and recognizing I got three things. Three things. And maybe it's just two things or maybe it's one thing. But it's like not creating this long list that will make me feel like I'm chaotic just because I have this list, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh girl, I don't know if I'm gonna get to this. I'm trying. Oh dang, I failed. And that's balance to me. Balance to me is doing one thing for my business every day. And it's not where I want to be. Like I feel this feeling of guilt that I can't get to everything I want to do in my business. There's so many things I want to do, but right now to me, balance is getting one thing done. Getting one thing every single day that is moving my business forward. And whether it's balance to me, it's getting this podcast done every week, one way or another, getting this done. But not just getting it done to get it done, but getting it done in a way that it feels like it's healing, not just for me, but for someone else. Like I really, when it gets to the point where I'm like just doing podcast episodes for doing a podcast, but for the sake of doing podcast episodes, then yeah, this podcast is going away because that's when it's like, I don't think this is not right for me. This is not part of my capacity. This is not part of my balance. But also asking yourself, what do I need, especially during this full moon? What do I need to release or to set to find balance in my life? What needs to change in my relationships with others and myself in terms of my thoughts and behaviors? Like for me, if I'm looking at this full moon, so this full moon, if you look at different things and like, okay, I look at, my rising and like, you look at your 10th house. Oh, sorry. You look at your rising to figure out what is the theme. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's like 12 houses in astrology and they each mean something different. And so you can look at your rising and you can figure out what is the theme for you this month and what this in these 3 days before the full moon and 3 days after the full moon that's trying to teach you. So I'm a Virgo sun and a Capricorn rising in tropical, and so my rising Capricorn, my Libra is in my 10th house. So if Libra is in my 10th house in my wheel of astrology, that's all about career, long-term goals, public image. And that is totally in line with what's going on in my life, because I'm like, okay, where do I need to find the balance when it comes to my career? And for me, it's like, okay, I took on all these different things and these new projects. How can I find balance? What can I do to not give away my power and my thoughts and my behaviors? What can I do to create boundaries? What can I do to figure out what do I need to release to find balance in my life? And what does balance look like right now in my career? What does balance look like in my life right now in terms of long-term goal, in terms of my public image? Like, I'm not posting as much as I normally do. And there's times where I'm like, oh my God, I feel so guilty for not posting. But that's balance for me. Like I want to share, I want to give, but I know at times when I give way past my capacity, I start getting migraines. I start feeling this feeling of my body is flipping out. I can't sleep. My blood pressure goes higher. So something's got to give. And so that's something that gave recently. And I post when I can post and when I feel like I have something to say, but I'm not posting anymore just to say like, oop, doop, check off, we posted today. And implementing any of these things or figuring out what is right for you in terms of finding balance and what can help you find that balance in the midst of chaos, it's a practice. I feel like I just needed to say this. It's a practice. It is not something that it's a one and done. You do it once and you're good for life. There's no lifetime goodness in terms of this. This is a lifetime practice. And it's a practice that I sometimes forget is a practice because I get in these moments of these storms and I forget that, oh wait, you did something to get here, but oh wait, you can do something to get out of here. And so, but it's a practice to remember. It's a practice to look into things I can do. It's a practice to remember my capacity, to set buffers. It's a practice to take breaks and to ground myself and move my body and dance and laugh and find things that work with me. But also learning how to be consistent with it. The more consistent you are with making this a practice, making this a habit, it makes it easier. And that's something that I'm needing to do a lot more because I won't lie, I kind of forgot about it. Oh yeah, sis, you have all these tools at your hand that can help you when life feels like it's too much. But I kind of forgot that I had all these tools. And so creating this podcast and taking a moment to step back this week was like, okay, let's get life back in order. Because when life is in order and I feel balance, there's joy. When life feels balanced, and again, there's no 50-50. In my world, there's no 50-50 balance. It's not like 50% of I'm doing this and 50% doing that. There's my balance, and balance looks different. There's a split is completely different, but it's not 50-50. But when I have that feeling of balance and I've had that feeling of being that grounded redwood tree in the midst of a tornado that's still able to root down and hold it down and be okay in all the storms that come in from internally and externally, I'm happier. I show up differently. I'm able to breathe and I don't feel like this constriction in my heart. I don't feel this anger that happens and it spills out into the world, onto other people. And I don't feel guilty because I've spilled it out onto other people and into the world. And life is just better. But as I always tell my niece and my nephews, and probably get tired of me saying this, it's a choice. All of this is a choice. You can choose to stay in the tornado and ride it out without any protection whatsoever. God, that sounded very sexual to me in my head, but yeah. But you can choose to ride it without any protection, or you can choose to protect yourself. You can choose to protect your peace by adding in what works for you. Because wellness isn't a one size fits all. You got to figure out what works for you. And that's what I got for you today. I want to make sure that you, if you're loving this podcast, subscribe, tell your friends, make sure to sign up for our monthly Reiki healing circle we do every fourth Wednesday of the month. It's coming up on the 27th of April at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's free, so you can go to the website and find out about that. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, sometimes when life feels chaotic, I like to do random acts of kindness. There's something about random acts of kindness, not doing it to say like, okay, check box, I did it nice, I did something nice for someone, but like that feeling of when you just do a random act of kindness. The other day, This woman was at this grocery store, overpriced grocery store, by the way. I won't give the name of the grocery store, but I was treating myself to some overpriced groceries. And the grocer, I guess the checker had put too many things in her bag. She made it just to the parking lot where the thing fell, and like there's some tomato sauce that spilled all over. All her groceries were trash. And like, I was like, I'm having a bad day. Life is spinning out of control. But I was like, you know what? I have some paper towels. I'm just going to give it to her. And she was so grateful. And I'm not saying like I do this to feel better. I just feel like, you know what? Just because I'm having a bad day doesn't mean I can't help someone else who may be having the same kind of a crappy day. So random acts of kindness. Try it. It may work for you. It may not. All I know is we're a village. There's so many things that we can do to help ourselves and others. And the universe is right now, especially asking us, how are we showing up? How are we showing up in our relationships? Look about it. Think about it. Be honest with yourself and shift what you can shift, and know that not everything needs to be this huge shift. Just shift one thing. One thing. All right. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.